Rumpelstiltskin, a classic fairy tale, read by Beverly Chen. Welcome to Thimbleberry Stories, where warm and cozy tales await you. If you love gentle bedtime stories that make you feel as sweet and warm as a meadow full of wildflowers, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new adventure. Now, get comfy, pull up your favorite blanket, and let's begin tonight's story. Once upon a time, in a kingdom bordered by golden fields and shadowy forests, there lived a humble miller and his daughter, Elise. She was a bright and kind-hearted girl with a beautiful laugh and eyes full of curiosity. She often wandered through the meadows, collecting wildflowers, and whenever she had time, she would go to the royal gardens, where she sometimes caught glimpses of the young prince, Adrian. Though she was only the daughter of a miller and he a prince, fate had a way of bringing them together. As children, they met by chance, Adrian sneaking away from his tutors and Elise picking apples from the orchard near the castle. He had helped her reach a particularly high branch, and from then on, they shared stolen moments of friendship, talking about dreams beyond the castle walls. But as they grew older, they drifted apart. The prince had duties to fulfill, and Elise knew her place. She was just a miller's daughter after all. One day, Elise's father, eager to impress the king, made a foolish boast. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing low, "my daughter is so gifted, she can spin straw into gold." The king, intrigued by this claim, summoned Elise to the castle that very night. She was led to a grand chamber filled with mounds of straw and a single spinning wheel. "If you truly have this gift," the king said, "prove it by morning. If you succeed, you shall be richly rewarded. If you fail, well, I have no use for liars." Tears filled Elise's eyes as the heavy door locked behind her. She had no idea how to spin straw into gold. She buried her face in her hands, knowing she would never see the sunrise again. Then, from the shadows, came a voice. "Why do you weep?" Startled, Elise looked up and saw a strange little man standing before her. He was no taller than a child, with a sharp, pointed nose and eyes that gleamed like moonlight on water. His clothes were made of dark silk embroidered with golden threads, and he carried a twisted wooden cane. "If I do this for you," he said, "what will you give me?" Elise had nothing but the necklace her mother had given her, a delicate chain with a tiny pearl. Trembling, she held it out. The little man took it, then climbed onto the stool by the spinning wheel. With a flick of his fingers, the wheel began to turn, and thread by thread, the straw transformed into shimmering gold. By morning, the chamber glittered, and when the king saw it, his eyes filled with greed. But instead of releasing Elise, he led her to another room, even grander, filled with twice as much straw. "One more night," he said, "and I will grant you an even greater reward." Again, Elise despaired, and again the little man appeared. "What will you give me this time?" She gave him the silver ring from her finger, the only jewelry she had left. Pleased with the trade, he spun the straw into gold once more. On the third night, the king led her to the grandest chamber yet, filled from floor to ceiling with straw. "If you can spin all this into gold, you shall marry my son, Prince Adrian." Elise gasped. Adrian? He was the boy she had once known, the boy she had secretly dreamed of. She could not let this slip through her fingers. But when the little man appeared, she had nothing left to give. He grinned. "Then promise me this. When you become queen, you shall give me your firstborn child." Her heart pounded. It was a terrible promise, but she had no other choice. With a whisper, she agreed. By morning, the last straw was spun into gold, and true to his word, the king announced Elise's engagement to Prince Adrian. To her surprise, Adrian was overjoyed. He remembered her from long ago, the girl with wildflowers in her hair and laughter in her voice. "I had hoped to find you again," he confessed. Elise blushed, but in her heart, she still feared the promise she had made. In time, Elise and Adrian were married, and though it had been a marriage of arrangement, love blossomed between them. She learned that Adrian was not the spoiled prince she had feared, but a kind and thoughtful man. He listened when she spoke, he made her laugh, and in his eyes she saw not just admiration, but true affection. Years passed, and the memory of the little man faded. Elise had everything she had ever wanted: her husband, a beautiful home, and peace. Then one autumn evening, Elise gave birth to a son, a child with bright, curious eyes. She and Adrian were filled with joy, and the kingdom celebrated the birth of its prince. But on the third night, as she held her baby close, a cold wind swept through the room. The fire dimmed, and from the shadows stepped the little man. "I have come for what you promised me," he said with a grin. Tears filled Elise's eyes as she clutched her child. "Please," she begged, "I will give you all the gold in the kingdom, but not my son." The little man frowned, rubbing his beard. "Very well," he said. "I shall give you 3 days. If you can guess my name, the child will be yours to keep." That night, with her heart heavy, Elise told Adrian everything. She confessed her secret, the deal she had made long ago. Adrian's face darkened, but instead of blaming her, he took her hands in his own. "We will not lose our son," he vowed. "I will send messengers across the land. We will learn his name." For 3 days and nights, messengers rode to every village and every kingdom, seeking out names old and new. Elise tried every name she could think of, but each time the little man shook his head. Then, on the final night, one messenger returned with a strange tale. He had ventured deep into the blackened mountains where a hidden kingdom lay. There, in a dark castle with golden spires, he had seen the little man dancing before a fire, chanting, tonight, my plans I weave. Tomorrow's child I shall receive. The queen has lost, she'll cry in vain, for Rumpelstiltskin is my name." Armed with this knowledge, Elise and Adrian waited. When the little man appeared, Elise feigned worry. "Is your name Tobias?" she asked. The little man chuckled. "No." "Perhaps Bartholomew?" He smirked. "Wrong again." Elise smiled. "Then it must be Rumpelstiltskin." The little man froze, his face twisted in rage. "Who told you?" he shrieked. He stomped his foot so hard that cracks spread through the stone floor. The castle trembled, and in a flash of fury, he vanished in a whirlwind of golden sparks, never to be seen again. Relief washed over Elise as she cradled her son. She looked at Adrian, tears brimming in her eyes, and he held her close. "You are safe now," he whispered. "We all are." And so Elise and Adrian lived happily, free of fear, bound together not by fate, but by love. The end. And now, dear listener, it's your turn to rest. Close your eyes, snuggle up, and let the stars twinkle just for you. Tomorrow will be a wonderful day, perhaps even an adventure of your own. Good night, little dreamer. Sleep well.